everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis. I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner, and I'm on my own again. And Mitch is off doing another marathon, and he is checking off Vermont this weekend. Actually, I think it was either today or yesterday. It's a Friday or Saturday. I don't remember. I think he left Friday. I don't even know what date it is. Yeah, today. I think he's running today. A marathon in Vermont. And yeah, we took a week off last week. It was actually kind of nice. Not nice to miss. I didn't like that. But just to be able to take a little bit of the pressure off. I know we put, Mitch and I go through, and we really, we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be consistent with our podcast, putting them out, getting them out to you guys. And it's something we definitely try to stay on top of. It's just sometimes just the way it is. We're just going to have to take a week off, and we try not to get too far ahead of things as well. Mostly because we want to stay fairly current. If we recorded 6 podcasts, by the time that 6th one hits, maybe current events, the way things happen, you're completely missing the mark. So, we try to only stay 1 or 2 weeks ahead. And you can sometimes, especially in the course of a summer, you lose those that are ahead. And we were sitting good at the beginning of summer, but the way things are, the way we travel, we record, how Mitch and I can schedule our schedules to be able to record. You're going to miss a week or two here or there. And that's what happened. Last week, I was actually out of town. And it's interesting how things happen like this. So I was out of town, went to Florida, awesome time. It was a golf trip. Early September, late August is not ideal for a golf trip to Florida. I'm telling you, it is hot and humid, especially right after a hurricane rolls through. We were there on the aftermath of, I don't say aftermath, but just, after the hurricane went through, and where we were at, it's not like it was like damage or anything like that. Although wet, it did do, it left its mark on some of the courses that we played. So yeah, but man, all of this, I was thinking as I was out there on one of the days, I don't remember what day it was, but I'm out there golfing, and I don't know, it's like 10, 11 in the morning. It had not gotten hot yet, proper. And I am literally just sweating. Sweat is dripping off from me, and I haven't done hardly anything. Yeah, I've swung a club a couple of times, but you hop in the cart and you drive to your, the ball. I was amazed, and it just, I'm always thinking, how does that affect running, right? And I'm thinking, man, how do these runners in this neck of the woods get the runs? And I get it. You go out early, that kind of a thing. I understand that. But man, oh man, I just couldn't get over. And I know it's Florida. It shouldn't be a big surprise. But that was my first time down there golfing and being in the heat out on the course. It was relentless. It wasn't even, I will say this, it wasn't even that sunny. So it was just straight up heat and humidity for us. So at any rate, that's where I was. That's why we could not record and get an episode out last week. So apologize for that, but we are back. And it was kind of neat. It set up what this podcast is going to be about. I don't know. I'm not going to. So this is going to be a little bit different because we've never done this before, but I wanted to review a movie. And this movie popped up because of my trip flying back on Delta Airlines. Real quick, don't go away yet. This is a running focused movie. So this isn't just a off the wall. I actually didn't watch this movie on the plane. This popped up. It's funny, I can't think of the movie that I watched. It was a Mad Max movie. I watched part of a Mad Max movie on the way back. It's funny, these are the tangents we go down, right? coming back from Florida, I had a layover in Detroit, and I was going to finish up my movie on the quick. I only had like 40 minutes left, and I could just about get in the rest of this movie from Detroit to Grand Rapids, but it might have been close. But either way, I was going to try and knock this thing out because it's a really short flight. However, so it was a long movie. I don't remember what the total length of the movie was. It's nearly like 3 hours. The most recent Mad Max movie. I can't remember the name. It starts with a T, but anyway, and it might not start with a T. I don't know. Anyway, it's the latest Mad Max movie, and I get in my seat to fly back from Detroit to Grand Rapids, and the Mad Max movie is definitely rated R for violence. And it's not a kid's movie. And of course, sitting right next to me is mom and dad and a kid. And kudos, because it was only 2 seats, and the kid was, I don't know, 1 or 2, something like that. So it's on their laps. It's 3 seats, and we've got basically 3 adults and 1 kid. Kudos to the family, though. They did a really good job. I could throw on headphones. Kid was fine. Didn't create any havoc. But in that process, there's no way I started to watch the movie, and I knew where I had left off, and I just thought, man, I can't watch I can't in good conscience watch this movie with this kid, right next to me. So I couldn't watch it. So anyway, I did not get to finish that movie. It was a fun movie up till that point. But anyway, I saw this movie. And this movie that I want to talk about is 100% has a running focus, but it's not your typical running movie. It is called 26.2 to Life. And I don't even know if you'd classify it a movie. It's a ESPN Films documentary about inmates at San Quentin Prison who are part of the 1,000-mile club, they call it, and what these guys do, so a group of coaches, essentially, or an individual started this, and he just said, I'm gonna go to the prison, and this is gonna be kind of my help to society. I'm gonna come alongside some guys that have obviously made some mistakes, and just give them a new purpose and hope in life is what it comes down to. And because it's it's about running a marathon, and that's exactly what it is. No, I'm not giving away any spoilers here. That is what the movie's about. So nothing there. I'm going to try to make this short, sweet, and not give away any spoilers, because I would highly recommend, if you're a runner, go watch this movie. It's a really good movie, and it's got a really good message to it with regards to our prison system, which I never, and I don't want to get into debates here about any of this, because oftentimes it's just, you don't know what you don't know. And for me, I had actually done a prison ministry through Bill Glass has a prison they don't call it a prison ministry, but anyway, where you go and just speak to prisoners, right? Inmates that are behind the walls and just want hope, some kind of hope. So when I saw this, I thought it was pretty interesting. But then at the end of this movie, I will say this, man, the end of the movie will make you cry. It will put tears in your eye. It'll, at least, I hope, you have not void all of the emotions in your body and you have at least a tear in your eye. And it's not from a sad, it's a feel good. I don't want to give away too much, but it's a really good front to end, or from beginning to end movie. And if you're a runner, man, I would go watch it. It's just got a really good story. But anyway, I'm going to give you a little bit of the gist of the movie and what it's about, and without giving away spoilers. So first of all, like I said, it's about a running club at San Quentin Prison. The San Quentin. Quentin, I guess it is. Quentin. I always thought it was Quentin, but it is Quentin. So anyway, there's a running group. There are a number of coaches / mentors, I would say, almost, for... I don't remember the name of the guy that started this. I should have looked that up, but I don't remember his name. But he started this running group inside San Quentin, and he has brought along and grown this over the years to be, I don't know, in the movie they show probably 6 to 8, maybe 10 coaches / mentors for prisoners. And they basically come alongside and they walk with them from January to November, training them to run a marathon in November. And they run the, what do they call it? The San Quentin Prison Marathon in November. And it's so if you're experienced in marathons, you'll appreciate the fact that it is not an easy marathon. You would think, well, it's got to be flat. It's San Quentin and it's, not a huge space. So it's not like they can run over hills, but they do have a couple of hills. They aren't much. However, it's 105 laps in the prison yard. It's out in the prison yard area, and it has 6 90-degree turns. Those are not fun, and they're not like big, broad road 90-degree turns. You're in a prison yard. Essentially less than, it'd be less than, what's my math here? Should have done that math. But it's basically less than a quarter mile, this area that they're running. I'm trying to do some quick math here. So it's basically almost right on a quarter mile. So they do these laps, but there are 6. So it's not even as easy as just a track. There are 6 90-degree turns, which are not fun, especially as you get later into a race. I can think back to a race that we did called Circular Logic. Now, Circular Logic was a 1-mile loop, so 26, roughly 26 for a marathon. And we did the 8-hour challenge, some of us did, and there was a turn on that course, which was actually a 180-degree turn. You kind of ran down this road, and you hooked around this cone, essentially, onto the sidewalk. That was no fun. Fine and dandy, like the first 20 loops, or not even first 20, I would say the first maybe 15 to 15-ish to 20. But after that, holy smokes, every single time you hit that, it was annoying, that little hook. The rest of it was fine. It was much better for turns. But this, and you see it in the documentary, they're tight turns. So 105 loops to get to your marathon distance in this race. And if you've ever done a looped type course, you'll appreciate what they're doing here. Some of the things that stood out to me about this documentary, they don't even get to own their own shoes. So there's a handful. Well, I would say I think there's like 10 to 15 guys a year, I guess, that do this. So it's not a huge group of guys that join this and attempt this. Some guys have done it for several years. Others, it's their first time. And everything in between. They do note that, like, when they show up to train for the coaches come in and they help them train. I think it's every Friday, I think they said, or something like that. And then the main guy that started all this, he actually comes another time a week, like early on a Tuesday or something like that, to help get the guys out and get their training in. And but when they show up, the guards open up a locker for them to take their shoes out and be able to do their running and on the track and do these shoes. And then they get done, they check back in their shoes to the and they said they're state-owned shoes. They're not even their property. They get to use those shoes. And yeah, the course is not a super easy course with regards to what you're running on. It's a little bit of asphalt, a little bit of gravel, a little bit of dirt, a little bit of grass. I mean, it's just throughout the prison yard, right? The other thing that stood out to me about this, and they do talk about this, is when you're doing your training, whatever, I get it. We all run into it. We're running down the sidewalk or running down a bike path, and somebody is in the path, or you got to kind of move over or whatever, do this or that. So for training, whatever, but during their race, it's the same. You know, they are sharing the prison yard with all these hundreds of other people that are, you know, in prison or inmates there, and they're out there trying to run a marathon. And then it's still a prison yard. So if there's a security alert, they all stop. They'll have to get down and have to wait. So here you're, however far into your marathon you are, those of you that have ran and any distance, I would say, or most distances, I would say, when you're in your groove and running, you don't want to stop and get down and have to wait. It's just that it disrupts rhythm, disrupts your muscles. You just want to keep moving. And so that stood out to me. Another thing that just does not make it easy for these guys. The movie does get into, and this is where it really starts to, like at first for the running side of things, I thought, pretty cool. They've covered what they can cover, but how can you like make this an hour-and-a-half movie or a documentary? And then they start to get into these stories of the prisoners themselves in prison, like how they cope, how they get through what they're doing. But then they go on further to become, or to talk even in more depth, the prisoners that chose to share their story, where they're at, how long they've been in, what landed them there. Oftentimes, it's not a one thing that landed them there. It was one thing led to this, led to this, led to this. And they'll straight up, I mean, it's not a woe is me documentary where they say, you know, these prisoners got a bad rep. No, they straight up say, I screwed up and I should be here. And I am paying for the hurt that I caused, you know, families and things like that. Several murders, you know, that are in this group. And so they do take you down that road. And I think it's a road, for me personally, I was happy to go down because it, again, if I tie this to the Bill Glass Ministries that I was a part of in the early summer, opened my eyes a little bit to maybe, I don't know, just be more aware. I think that there are potentially systems in place that maybe don't have the results of what the intentions were when it comes to prison. Yeah, granted, I get it. This is a documentary, but I do feel, based on going and speaking to guys with some pretty long sentences, and then seeing this and then getting a new perspective of like, wow, these guys are, they can be a very good, productive member of society. And it's not to take away what they did. I'm not saying that. And again, I don't want to get into some kind of a debate there. Just sharing my feelings after having watched the movie, and those are my feelings. So I don't want to debate that. I'm just maybe just sharing a little bit, being a little bit vulnerable with everybody here. So it does take you down that road, and like I said, it was a good road. I really appreciated going down that road. All the while, they're talking about their training, they're talking about how they're doing with regards to running, they're talking about their aspirations of running, they're talking about the the hope that they have in life, in this case, or the drive that they get to even continue to move forward and not just straight up commit suicide. One of the stories was a guy that, he's in there. He landed himself in there, and without getting involved in this group, he said, man, this is, he basically, this was another driving force for him not to do that because, he figured, what hope do I have? And so, and then it takes you on the flip side, which is the end, and I won't give it away, but there are some notable things that happen that it made me shake my head and just think, man, are we getting the results out of our imprisoning system that we want to get? And that's, I don't have all the answers. I don't have the answers. I didn't put that together, but I'm just saying, it does make you. I think it does create a healthy spark, or it should in each of us to think, hey, are we doing our best by human beings? So at any rate, I think it's a very good movie, regardless if you're a runner, but especially if you're a runner, because these guys, man, they get up and this is a big part of their day. And what I found was interesting was, you got these group of guys in prison, and you would think, well, that's, they have all the time in the world to be able to do this, but that's not the case. They are very similar. They all have a walk. They all have a journey. They all have their training and lack of training excuses or reasons for lack of training, just like you and I, Mitch and I, do. And it made me kind of chuckle going, here's a guy, and this dude, straight up, he had a lot going on, and he had a lot of reasons why he was only running a couple days a week. It made me laugh. I thought, hey, I sign up for that all the time. So at any rate, I thought it was a very motivational movie. It gave me some hope in humanity with these coaches / mentors that are going in, and they go in and just come alongside these inmates and give them a family that a lot of them will say they don't have. Once they go into prison, a lot of friends and family, they just go by the wayside. And that's just the cold, hard facts. And so it did give me some hope in that, and it gave me some hope in finding new reasons to run and stay motivated to run. Because I think as you go through seasons of life, you're going to have that. You're going to have individuals that come into your life and they spark you to run. They, motivate you to run. You're going to have people that come into your life that distract and pull you away from it. Not that that's a bad thing that they're pulling you into. So for me right now, I've got a lot going on in golf, and it's pulling me away from running a little bit. It's not a bad thing, but I'm not going to give up running for it. I just have to reorient life and find new ways to get that in. And I 100% can do that. This is as much a not a woe is me thing as I mentioned before. I'm just saying it's a realization that I have. And I just see Mitch texting. Let's see if he's finished his race. Nope. Don't know what that is. But he just texted. I think maybe he'll appreciate this on the podcast. Something about Alex Zidetsky, Instagram. I don't know. He says he sent that and said Lewis. So I'll have to see what that is. I'm afraid to play it while we're recording this because who knows what he sends me on any given day. So at any rate, that's all I have. I just wanted to cover that movie. I thought it was a really inspiring movie. If you are a runner, I don't care if you're a runner or not. It's a really good movie. But like I said, if you are a runner, you will appreciate it and what they're going through to get their training and eventually get their marathon in. And I won't give it away. There are some really cool times that they show for the race in the San Quentin Marathon. And there are some really cool stories at the end. I won't give anything away on, but man, they're tear jerkers. I definitely had to check myself, and I was downstairs watching the remainder of the movie with the dog, because I had watched a little bit of it in study, basically in prep for this, because I wanted to cover it. And I was downstairs watching the end of it with the dog, and Rowdy was he was sleeping. But Nicole had called down to me. I was like, just give me a minute. I'll be up in a minute. So really good movie. Go check it out. And with that, yeah, we will be back to some pretty regularly scheduled podcasts. Obviously, we will be discussing the Vermont race that Mitch is at right now. That will be most likely what will be next week's podcast. And then, we got some fun and exciting things coming up with Mitch and with some training and some things like that, and with PT Sports Pro. So, that's all we have for you this week. Be sure to go check us out on Patreon. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, all of that. Like, subscribe, and share those with somebody. And with that, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running Podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know. And until then, happy running.